are live once
This
again.
camera again.
This camera. And, you know, we have had such an amazing day.
Yes.
And we want to say thank you for bearing with us through the technological bumps this morning, and in trying out this new platform. And here we have an amazing woman, Danielle LaPorte, and I'll let Rachel do the formal intro.
I'm kind of intimidated to give the intro for Danielle because, as Lauren and I told her when we just rang her up on Skype, we're kind of like Uber fans. When Danielle friended me on Skype and I saw her name come up, I had this geeky moment of like, oh my God, Danielle's on my Skype contact list. But Lauren and I have been following Danielle for a long time. When she had launched the original Firestarter Sessions, the workbook, we both had like these huge 3-ring binders with scribbled notes everywhere as we went through that. And that was really one of the things that helped us launch our own mastermind, which we've shared with the audience, is our DIY mastermind, our little local girl group. We launched it with the original Firestarter Sessions. Like, we came together, talked about it, ripped out worksheets. And as we followed Danielle and her amazing journey through all of these different, you know, from think tank exec to author to entrepreneur, and seeing all of these things over the past couple of years, we've been incredibly, incredibly inspired by her. So when she launched the hardcover book, and hold on,
you can see them. We've got a stack behind us. We've already given away one today.
We've already given away some. We've sent out, or we have a lot of people getting these in the mail next week.
If you're a VIP,
if you're
you get
a VIP,
one
you get
automatically.
When this came out, I got an opportunity to give an advanced peek at it, and then I emailed her assistant Angie back, and I was like, I don't even know what to write about this. It's amazing. Can we just talk to Danielle? And here we are. We're talking to Danielle. So thank you so much, and it's such an honor to have you with us, and we're just thrilled to be able to have you impart your wisdom to our audience today.
Happy to be here. It's pouring rain in Vancouver. It's an awesome, cozy afternoon to just like get deep.
Perfect. Love it. You know, today some of the themes that have kept coming up have been authenticity, truth, standing in your sweet spot, and operating your business from that place. And what better way, I can't think of a better way to cap off a day with those themes than to hear from you. And hear from you what it means to go deep, to hear what it means to be authentic in business. And I know that's not a specific question, but
just start with a bigger question, maybe.
But to me, you really embody that sort of fearless jumping out and saying, you know, or jumping into the abyss and saying, I'm going to do this. Number one, how do you have the courage to do that? What gives you the spark to do it? Where does it come from?
Yeah, that's a good question. The courage to jump is, I feel that it's too painful to stay back there. So it's like, you know, there's that beautiful, I'll probably butcher this, but there's that beautiful Anais Nin quote: the day came when it was more painful to remain a tight bud than it was to blossom. So I know what it means to you know, I've jumped enough. This is the thing, like, courage is a muscle. So I've jumped enough that I know the fear won't kill me. I know that the rush is something that like imprints on me on a cellular level, and I can call on that rush anytime. I know that when I jump, I feel clearer headed. I feel more loving. I know that when I jump, I have more to be generous with. Like, I know the benefits of jumping. And you can only know the benefits of jumping if you jump.
Yeah.
So, and I've made a habit, it's like a practice for me to imprint the good moments on my psyche. So it's, you know, it's about noticing, like, this is what success feels like today. This is what shrinking feels like today. Yeah, I celebrate the good stuff. I'm really hard on myself as well, but I'm almost ritualistic now about noticing what's working.
Can you describe what that means to you, being ritualistic? The reason I bring that up is I think some of our viewers, but maybe not all, are familiar with Stephen Pressfield and the War of Art. And I feel like you fall into that same category of, define category, but also giving structure to this creative lifestyle. And to me, and to I'm sure artists everywhere or creatives everywhere, that's really inspiring. So when you talk about the ritual, what does that mean to you, and how does that give structure to your wild creativity?
Mm-hmm. It's small things. It's like, there's a little exercise I learned from all the Abraham Hicks work, which is called pivoting. And you basically get clear about that you're moving from one moment to the next, or one situation to the next. So for me, it can be like, I'm going to make a phone call, because there's my phone, and I think, what do I want to create in this? I give myself a moment. Like, I just don't pick up the phone and I dial the phone. I hang up the phone and I say, how do I feel about that? It's like there's a pause. I get in the car and I say, I'm going from being in air mode, do mode, to now I want to move into dreamy, intuitive mode. When I get out of the car, my mind's going to be open to new thoughts coming in. So just like, I really look at situations. Like, I'm in a container right now. I'm going to move to a new container. So that's one ritualistic thing. I also have an exercise in the fire starter sessions that's called glory boarding. And, my noticing is that before we start a new project, before we engage in something we want to lift off the ground, all these fears come up about, we're not the right person to do it. We don't have enough acumen, all the ways we could fail, and all the reasons, all the things we failed at in the past. Basically, we come up with a laundry list of why we suck and why this is going to fail. And I actually think much more helpful is to think about all of the things that you've pulled off in the past. That can be everything from, like, I got that job when I was 15 because I talked my way into it, to, I sold a lot of cookies as a Girl Guide, to, I asked him on a date, or her. So that's ritualistic for me, is like, let's just look at all the things I have done. And I usually do that before I start a new project. Like, I'm now moving into creating a new book.
Cool.
And, this is contradictory. So I look at how I've pulled things off in the past. I think, oh, listen, LaPorte, you have written books quickly before. Books of great substance, I think, of like enough substance. Quickly, I can do this again. I've gotten like decent book deals like before. I can do this again. And then I move into beginner's mind, which is like, let's pretend I never did any of that. And if I'd never written a book before, what would I do now? That's where you get innovative. That's the fun part.
Awesome.
I just have so many amazing things flooding up. Something you spoke to really touched me, because you said you're really, really hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And this is something that I personally, as the super high achiever, overachiever, way beyond achiever, have fought against. And I've also found, as an entrepreneur and as a creator, as a writer, it can really hold you back. It can keep you from putting your best work out in the world. So what else do you do to support yourself when you're being hard on yourself? How do you make yourself just get something out there and not let your inner critic or your monkey mind or whatever keep holding you back?
Well, you have to just realize it's part of the creative process, right? So I just know that criticism will always be sitting there. I'm going to put it where I want it to be. I'm not going to listen to it all the time, but it's going to come up. I know now that every time I get off stage after speaking it, I'm going to say, I can't believe I said that. Not to the whole thing about I can't, that one thing I said about that, I can't believe I said that. And then I just take it, and then you just get on with it.
Yeah.
Because what's the alternative? to not get on stage, to not show up, to censor myself. Oh, death. So there's always going to be pain. Sorry. There'll always be pain. It's degree of pain. It's what you do with the pain. It's the type of pain. I would rather have the pain of showing up and wincing than feeling like I missed an opportunity or that I didn't. Let me put it this way. I'd rather have the regret of speaking up than not speaking at all. Because the not speaking up is the soul-killing stuff. You can always manage the mess of maybe saying something you shouldn't have, but yeah. I mean, this is how it's worked for me personally. The times where I've been in the boardroom and have not said something have directed the course of my life in the most negative way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's an impactful...
Silence has been my killer.
Okay. Thank you for
I'm
sharing
not silent anymore, but very much at all.
Yeah, something that I'm curious about too is on the surface, if someone were to take a gander at, say, your web presence, I love it because, there's a mixture of poetry and smack talk and strategy and inspiration. And I love it all mixed up together. And there are other people who would look at that and be like, what's going on with her strategy? Like, I don't, like, where does she fit? Like, she's not here in my little, box. I've got so many questions around that. Where does that come from? Do you have a strategy? Would you share that with us? And if it's not that, what is it? What drives that, the presence that has been able to communicate to so many people and connect with so many people and really serves as a lightning rod for your work? Because I find your blog and your messaging a lightning rod for the greater body of work that is also available. And like I said, it isn't something that follows any sort of rules.
My strategy is to approach it as an experiment. You never know what's going to work. Like in the early days of writing on my website, which used to be called White Hot Truth, I realized that the more I talked about myself, the more transparent I was, the more successful I was. I was always amazed. I thought some posts were just going to suck and weren't going to go anywhere, but really it was just like, well, this is all I got this week. So I'm going to put out this story about me meeting the Dalai Lama. And then I would get like this deluge of, that was so inspiring. I saw myself. It made me want to, whatever, it was all positive. Then I had the opposite experience where like I recently wrote a post about the mystique of the New York Times bestseller list and how one tries to get on the bestseller list. And I spent like 10 hours writing that post. It's an essay. Technically, it is an essay. And I called Angie like a few days before and I said, get ready. This is going to be viral. This is going to be crickets. No. Like, I think a small handful of people like really appreciated that. Those are the people who are writing or who are on the crest of launching or something. And it was just clear to me, never write another fucking essay ever again. And I hope I'm never writing anything that takes 10 hours to write or research. But I don't do research. Okay? My insight. I don't have 10 hours. If I want to own my life, it doesn't include writing essays. And the best things have but the most successful, meaning they've had the most effect on people. Most successful things I've written, I write them quickly. They're not planned. What was your question?
Well, it was really just how, what is your strategy for creating something that has just really galvanized so many people around your brand?
Okay, so here's my strategy. So this speaks to the experimentations. My strategy is I want to be an artist. I am an artist. And I'm always looking for the truest expression of what I feel like needs to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And some days that's a little bit of poetry, and some days that's a post on money.
Right.
And underneath all of that, I want to be useful. I'm driven to being driven by being useful. I want to be useful. I don't want to waste anybody's time. This is why I'm not a diarist online. I want there to be nothing wanky about what I do.
Yeah.
And I've struggled with the whole art thing. I gotta think more about it and live into it more and write more about it in the future. But I've struggled with how art needs utility, social utility. And get ready, because you have not seen anything yet. I am tearing apart my websites, all coming down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't. This is live, right?
Yeah.
So
We're
today,
live.
right? Okay, so I'm on a publishing hiatus right now, which is me. I'm no Twitter, no Facebook, no posting on my site or anybody else's site. I did when I announced that I was doing that, and I announced it because I thought it was teachable. Like I've got something to maybe impart here about why to take a hiatus, how to do a hiatus. It's not even about why I'm taking one, but if this could be useful to somebody else. And I was intentionally loose about my language about how long it would be. I'd said I'm just taking some time off for a couple weeks. Well, a couple could be 2, a couple could be 4. And I was going to start back up on Monday, this coming Monday, and I'm not. For a couple of reasons. One, I don't feel ready. 2, I want to break the cycle of pressure to perform. And the only way for me to do that is to not perform when I feel the pressure to perform. And I'm feeling it. I mean, I'm even getting people on Twitter like, where are you? And then I also have to look at my life, my priorities. Is someone on Twitter asking me where I am more important than my kids saying, will you do some Lego with me? No. Is being loving to the people who I know less of a priority than trying to appeal to strangers? Like, that's a no-brainer, So, the beauty of taking space and taking time is that all of this clarity has come in about where I'm going, and I'm committing more deeply to my art. And in order to do that, I need to burn the house down. So it'll probably be October, but there's going to be more poetry. It's going to be more photography. Tired of talking about Twitter. Yeah.
Awesome.
But it's scary, right? None of this happens without fear. None of it.
Absolutely. I want to go back for a second because you said you want to make sure that you own your life. And I know that you're a mom of a beautiful boy, and as a mom, this has been something that people come to me and ask all the time. How do you manage? I have 2.5-year-old twins, so how do you manage running a business, your kids, your marriage, everything? And I'd like to ask you as well, because you've been an amazing producer of incredible content, have been all over the place, and yet I know that your son, just from reading your work, I know your son is super important to you. So I'd like to know how does owning your life work when you are an artist, when sometimes you create because you have to create, but you still have somebody that you love to death, and they're a huge part of why you do what you do.
Well, look at this.
Hi. You're on a live broadcast.
Yeah, that's right. Can you give me
to a whole bunch of people around the world. Yay!
I forgot to text his. No, you have to leave, sweetheart. Okay. I forgot to text his dad that I was doing this. Well, okay, the dark side is my kid watches way more television than I ever thought I would allow him to watch because I need to get stuff done. And I say to him, and the dark side is I say, you see all those kids going to after school care? And their parents pick them up at 6:30? And then they go home, they have dinner, they have a bath, they go to bed? We don't have to do that. I'm here, it's 3 o'clock. So I just want you to realize, like, I'm in the house, and you need to go watch an episode of Phineas and Ferb because I'm working on this proposal. Or I have, I used to bribe him when he's 8 now, so he gets that, and he's like totally cool. But I used to have to seriously bribe him, like, I will go get you the popsicles if you just be quiet, right? I feel like I have 2 days. After he goes to bed, I start this whole other day. So from 9 to 12, there's a whole other life that happens. And I work with great people. So this is like, this really stuck with me about how many times I heard this in terms of Oprah's strategy of Oprah was a great delegator, and she surrounded herself with people who she thought were actually more brilliant than her at what they did. And I learned that the hard way. I've made mistakes of hiring people too soon because I was desperate for the help. And I'm always in a rush to grow. Always. I will always be that way. And so now I just, I have a team. And they're awesome. And I'm generous and effusive with how much I love them and appreciate them. And that also takes a lot of courage and risk to get those people on the bus because you want to pay them good money. And I still, I want to give everybody more. And you need to take a breath and wait to hold those, to hire those people. If it means you don't launch because you haven't got the right people on the team, then you don't launch. And that's really painful as an entrepreneur, especially when you got to pay your rent and your mortgage.
Right.
Sometimes you just launch anyway. I mean, by the way, everything I say is contradictory, right? So that's how I get it done. I work with awesome people, and I know they're doing stuff, and I know and my kid pays for this sometimes, and I feel terrible about it, and I think he'll get it. And look, and this goes back to me being hard on myself. I'm an awesome mom. I am meant for that kid. Because people ask me, how do you like being a mother? When you first have a baby and all that. It's like, well, it's not that I love being a mother. It's that I love being his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Awesome. So I want to ask, what is the legacy that you want to leave?
None.
None?
No. I'm not interested in legacy at all. I don't relate to the word.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I get it. I get the concept. I tend to see this will come across as sexist. I see the whole legacy drive is much more predominant with men.
Sure.
I don't need a statue. If the day I died, all my books were burned and everything I'd ever written on the line got nuked, what do I care? I mean, wherever I'm going, the next dimension, the next lifetime, I'm putting my ego on hold for a while. So in an egoless state, do I care if anybody appreciated me? No. And I know I will have had an effect. And that effect can be anywhere from, I said a kind word to the woman I just saw in the Gap at the cash register. I said, you look great. You look so great. You got it going on. And she got all misty and just grabbed my arm and said, I get choked up just to think. She said, I really needed to hear that.
Wow.
I want to start this whole campaign about compliments. We should just compliment each other more.
I'd be down with that. I could use some more compliments. Everyone can use some more compliments.
Yeah. I would love to financially set my kid up and my grandkids. I don't want to do any harm. I don't want to leave the planet any heavier. I pray that I leave it lighter, but it doesn't matter what people think of me when I die. I'm just trying to live with that, not caring what people think of me now.
Yeah.
When I'm alive.
You mentioned something about your rush to grow, and it made me think of the concept of fast cyclers. The kind of people who, for instance, just if we're just looking at, say, your web presence, for instance, you've got White Hot Truth that became Danielle LaPorte that you're taking down and will become something new. That's just one element of a visible manifestation of this rush to grow. And I think for you, it's obviously much deeper than that. What advice would you have to our viewers who also feel that it's, it's a visceral thing that we've got to constantly renew, refresh, grow, change, metamorphose? Like, how do you navigate that? And what advice would you give to our viewers who are also struggling often with that constant reinvention cycle, both personally and professionally?
Well, I don't think you need to constantly reinvent to be a success.
Okay.
I think this is about what your true nature is. And I also want to just press pause for a minute and say, you guys are great interviewers because you really listen. For everybody listening, what these women are modeling is what's called engaged listening. So, I'm sure you have an agenda if you want this to be a great interview and get deep and useful stuff, but there's no prepared questions here. You're just listening and go, let's go that way. So this is so fucking refreshing. Let me just put that. Okay, so
Thank you.
Why this is so relevant for me right now is because what I've been thinking about this week is my nature. So there's something right now in my business that I really want to change up. And I may have to kind of back away from something and change an arrangement. And my friend said to me in a really loving way, she said, you sort of over the last few months have had this rhythm of, decision remorse. So I've kind of taken a few steps forward and I go, go this way. And so I take a few steps forward and I go this way. And I said, well, I'm always in a hurry. And so let's just park that. I'm always in a hurry. Okay. So that's an awareness about myself. Then there's also this thing I'm cultivating over here called self-compassion. That there's no I'm trying to move into this place where I have no criticism about how I've lived my life, the decisions I've made, about who I am. Just compassionate. Doesn't mean I don't think I fucked up, but just let's be compassionate. So if I bring those two together, that awareness of my nature and the compassion, then I can realize that I will always be in a rush to grow. That this is who I am. That I am just like a horse will want to run at the gate, will want to run across the field. I will always want to run. I've been that way for 43 years. I'm putting money on the fact that will never change. It could. I'm fine if it does. But so here's the thing. Sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. So you don't always get the results. You can be in, let me rewind. You can be in your true nature. You can be being that horse that wants to run. And that will be appropriate for some situations, and you will win. And in other situations, you will not win. But you can't stop being the horse. What you will learn is that there's just some places that horses go. And there's some places that horses should stay away from. So I should work with people who are comfortable moving quickly. I should work with people who don't criticize my fast nature. One of my most damaging moments in a partnership was that being reined in of someone saying, Danielle, you move too fast. I said, fuck you. We're here because I move too fast. We launched because I move so fast. And the reason I work so well online is because this is a very quickly moving, changing industry, and I am wired to run. So, not everybody is a horse. Some people are turtles, and the world needs turtles. And if you are a turtle, you need to honor your turtle nature. You are the person who has the 10-year plan. You are the person who says, I'm going to sleep on it. You are the person who says, you do research, and you say, I need my advisory board to look at this. So let me rewind to say, none of us can be hooked into innovating for the sake of innovating. I'm very uncomfortable with the term of reinvention. Reinvention for the sake of reinvention is idiocy. That's a tweetable.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at Madonna. Is she reinventing for the sake of I don't know. I'd have to get into her. I have to talk to her. And she hasn't returned my phone call this week. But if she just keeps reinventing for the sake of reinventing, she's going to look like an idiot soon. I mean, she's at the point, the season in her career where she just be settled in to agree with her identity. Anyway, I'm going off on a big philosophical tangent now. I will pause now.
I loved it.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. Where to go next?
I have a big question because, our audience is young women entrepreneurs, and a lot of the women that come into our circle are just getting started. So this whole self-awareness piece that you just mentioned, like this whole knowing your nature and understanding how you operate and understanding that if you're a horse, you're a horse, if you're a turtle, you're a turtle. Some people don't have that yet. So how can you kind of hone in and become more aware of where you thrive and the situations that you thrive in?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You just have to be asking yourself the question, am I thriving? And it sounds like so banal, but like, how did I feel after that meeting? How did I feel when I asked for the raise? How do I feel when I get an assignment from my boss? How do I feel writing that post? How did that conversation make me feel? And, it reminds me of a good friend of mine said, his definition of friendship was you feel more like yourself after you've been with that person.
Oh, wow.
And I think if that were your touchstone for going through your whole life, that would be pretty powerful. And to accept what you learn along the way. It becomes so easy to judge who we're not. It's so easy to be critical. It's, I've also, another like personal story about this is I've struggled with my speaking gigs and where I go to speak. And I see what's happened with people I know who have speaking careers is they all have those experiences where, they get the gig to go to the association of really uptight people.
Yeah.
It's a really high-paying gig, and they do their thing, and they still feel, when they get off the stage. And then they have to have this tough talk with their agent and say, you can never send me to those people again. And you feel like a wimp. You feel like you're not tough enough. But really, there is something to be said for going where you're loved and going for where you feel happy and taking risks within that container. I feel much more artistic and much more useful and much more challenged, actually, when I'm with people who are of the tribe, who get it. Otherwise, I start to shut down. I start to censor. Yeah, so the fine points to that answer are look at what is lighting you up, the situations where you feel more like yourself, in the cheesy terms, what's making your heart sing, and move towards those. Try and create more of those situations, and don't feel guilty for it.
I love that, not to feel guilty for it. That's a big thing that I think a lot of us struggle with is feeling guilty about what we love, because sometimes what we love or what lights us up might be a little weird to some people. Might seem a little freaky, but that's okay, because there's other people out there that like that stuff too.
Absolutely.
It's all good.
Absolutely. You don't have to sell to corporate if you don't want to. Danielle, you mentioned something briefly about the definition of friendship that your friend gave about, you feel more like yourself after being with that person. And it made me think about the role of friendship, specifically friendships with women, in this world, especially for creative people. And, certainly I'm so lucky to have people like Rachel, like Siddiqui Ray, who was on earlier, who are women friends, who are entrepreneurs. And we have noticed that as we go along in this path, our friendships and the nature of the people we have as friends has changed. Or have changed. What has been your experience around friendships with women being as successful as you are, being as creative and powerful as you are, what role do friendships play in your life, and how do you sustain and feed them?
Essential, critical, gotta have them, would not be talking to you, would be crazy. I would be drooling if I didn't have my girlfriend. Like before we got on, I was at a girlfriend's place. And before I was at her place for lunch, I just dropped my best friend off at the bus station to take the bus to her island. And I'm asking them big questions, like, what should I do? And we do stuff. I mean, we do this playfully. We're like, okay, so by the time, we get to the end of Granville Street, we got to figure out what we're going to do with your life.
I love it.
We just get a nitty gritty, and I go, should I email her or should I call her? And like everything, gotta. They're on speed dial. Like, I'm just looking at my text for today, and here, this gets really personal. I'm gonna give this to you. It's like, this is what my morning starts with: emergency jam session today? ? Exciting opportunity. Would love your big brain advice. Have any time? XO. And then the next text is, this is where we're gonna meet. That's
awesome. I love it. Awesome. So we think this is something that's crucial.
I'm lucky enough that I have girlfriends who are really successful in business, so I can turn to them for like really high strategy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Marie Forleo and Chris Carr and I have been on the wire all week. Should I? And what do you do? And tell me, and da-da-da-da-da. And I just did a book signing last night with Chris Guillebeau, and we just solved each other's problems in the back room in about 5 minutes. What are you gonna? And you should. And just do nothing, right? And so there's that, but there's also, you need the girlfriends to remind you who you are. So even though, my best friend might not understand the machinations of publishing and should I do a Kindle edition, I say to her, what do you think's more me? And she'll go, oh, well, you totally got to do a print book too, because you're like that. And I go, that's right. Yeah. Not a random house going to say your print. So, girls, all the way.
Love it. Awesome. Totally crucial. And we'd like for you to share a little bit more about, something that we're really passionate about with this new site that we're launching, lifeshifted.com, is all about helping women come together and really support each other. And part of how we've structured that is our own, we call it our DIY mastermind. We have a group of 4 of us that get together every couple of months. We sit around on big fluffy sofas and drink wine and strategize about business and life and love and having more babies all at the same time. And we know that...
And we shop.
And we shop. And we know that, like you said, Chris Carr and Marie Forleo are a big part of that. For you, can you share a little bit about the importance of having these people who you can consistently come back to and who know what's up with you, they know your business, to get feedback? What's the support there for you, and why is that crucial for everybody?
It's crucial because everybody needs objective reflection. You need someone to remind you who you are. I think the more successful you get, actually, the more crucial it becomes, because these opportunities, the opportunities get more glamorous. The more you sell, the more money that's coming in. It doesn't matter where you're making widgets or making books.
Yeah.
And those things they pull at you. And that's where you just need the grounding rod. You also need people who are successful in their own right, in their own industry, to just say, oh, I did that and that didn't work for me. Or I'm paying them that much, so just so you know. So it's like comparative stuff. And entrepreneurship is lonely. Solo entrepreneur is solo. You need the rah-rah. Lots of us are just sitting here with our screens. And you need community. Yeah. And you need encouragement. Sometimes you just need someone to just shut up and say it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. There's a huge business in that. I should start that. 1-800, it's going to be okay.
I love it.
I'll get a recording that says it's going to be fine. I'm going to do that, actually. That's a great idea. I think I'm going to create an MP3. I'm writing this down.
Okay.
An MP3 of encouragement.
You
And I'm
heard it
announcing
here
it
first.
that I'm going to do it, and then I will. There you go. MP3 of encouragement.
Can't wait.
Awesome. Well, we only have a little bit of time left with you. I want to say to everybody live with us, we're going to have a giveaway of a couple more books. So share your favorite insights from this session with Danielle and the social stream here on live stream or on Ustream, whatever the platform is. And we will be giving away some books because we've got a lot to give away and we need to get them in the hands of everybody.
And keep in mind, if you're a VIP, you already get one. And if you want another, you can still enter to win.
And gift it.
And share the love. So you might as well. It's not only limited to people who aren't VIPs. And we do have a couple more VIP slots too. So favorite insight, be sure to hashtag Life Shifted, and also you can also put Danielle LaPorte's Twitter handle, the little @ in her name. And even though she's not tweeting, we can still give her a shout out
Give her some Twitter love
for what's going on right now.
Still paying attention.
Yeah, because other people are gonna benefit from these nuggets as well. So we've just refreshed. We're gonna take a look, and we want to hear what you guys have to say. So cool. Oh, we already have some thoughts. Someone is just really excited about you and Chris. Is it Gilbo? Is that how?
Yeah,
in the same room, they think that you guys must have exploded the room with all the amazing energy. And if you don't know the work of both, then check them out.
Cool. So we'll let those come in.
Yay.
Last thoughts for Danielle. This is
wow. What an amazing joy for us to get you in this era when you're offline. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know that time has got to be sacred, and even if no one else were listening, this has been really amazing. Even if you were just having a conversation with me and Rachel and Drew, our sound guy, amazingness. Danielle, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, this has been awesome. A word that we heard earlier, the word reverence, comes to mind. And the concept of reverence for something that, and we've been talking about like capital M marketing today, that this whole world of marketing is shifting, and this whole world of business and entrepreneurship is shifting. And, all those like NLP tactics and fear-inducing marketing and all that stuff, it's like falling on deaf ears. It's not working that much. And there's this whole concept of bringing reverence and spirituality and ritual into commerce, into exchange. And perhaps I would love for you really just to riff on where you see the intersection of reverence and revenue.
What a great 2 words in the same sentence. Reverence and revenue. We need to write a post called Reverence and Revenue. That's so good.
Dunzo.
Okay. Well, I think the best way to talk about this is to tell you my story about how I launched something. So, originally the Firestarter Sessions was a digital program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone through a couple names, but this is like the first incarnation of it. And I launched at a time when I was getting ready to launch it, when everybody had been to South by Southwest, and I was getting information from all my buddies, and they're like, you need to do a double-tiered thing, and for like $4.99 you get this, and for $1,000 you get that, and then you make it only available for 3 days. And then I was reading all this stuff about velvet rope marketing, which I was like, what, velvet rope marketing? I didn't even get the concept.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you partition it off and you make this more special and make everybody else feel like a loser, pretty much. And I went out for dinner with a bunch of just local friends, some people, anyway, a bunch of bloggy chicks, smart, fun chicks. And I was like, well, and I could make it this, and I could do that. And they're just like, they all looked at me, and then they said, that does not sound like you. I was like, oh my God, thank you. That's not me, is it? And I was like, you know what I want? And there's always this moment where somebody just, there's that, you go, you know what I wish I could do? If it didn't matter, I would just. And whatever comes after that phrase,
Yeah.
it's usually your truth. And I said, you know what? What I really want to do is just make it $150, and I'm going to sell a sample chapter now, and people can pre-order it just because they're excited, and that's it. I'm not going, none of this pre-order it now and get this, and that, and that. And that was it. So I did that. It was hugely successful. And how I got there, and now what I practice is, I know how I want selling to feel for me, and I know how I want my client to feel. My client, my consumer, my customer, my clicker, however you want to call it, my friends, my tribe. And I really want the experience itself to feel elegant and simple. I assume that the people who are hanging out in my space, I think of my website as a digital temple. I assume that they're intelligent and that I don't need to hammer them over the head with blinking things, with things that are bright. I don't need to tell you the same thing 12 fucking times, and I don't need to beg you to buy. Here you go, buy. I make it easy. My buy things my badges are big because I just want you to click. Great, simple. One price. Things never go on sale. I have a pay what you can day. I also have a no refund policy, which is rare in my industry. Yeah. Do you want to know why I have a no refund policy? Because I want you to make an intelligent, informed, heart-engaged decision about what you're getting, about why you're buying, because I do a really great job of telling you what you're going to get. If you don't feel like you know what's inside the package you're buying and you haven't read the table of contents and the sample chapter and the worksheets and all the testimonials, and this is commerce. I make my art, comes from a pure place, and then this is my livelihood. So if you don't like the Lady Gaga CD or the Steve Jobs book, you can't return it. So you like my art or you don't, but it's my art.
Awesome. I totally love that because that's definitely something I have bumped up against myself with my own things that I put out into the world, and have explored the no refund policy. Actually, people like it better, it seems now. I never even have any questions about that, which is pretty awesome. I had a question come to mind, and I'm thinking it'll come back in a moment.
Okay. While we're waiting on that, let's go to the stream and see what we've got. We've got some wonderful, more wonderful. I'm still scrolling. Responses. We have, guys, 3 books to give away. And Lone Star Lucy, you are a winner. She says, basking in Danielle's centeredness. Have you noticed how the energy of the whole event has just taken a shift?
Love it.
That's what we're about. Thank you, Danielle. Bring it. Let's do another one. I'll let you pick one. Someone loved what you said about not being wanky, which is another way of saying masturbatory, really. Like she's not in the blog world to like self-congratulate and talk about, the inner workings of her life.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to send
that
one out to Meg Appleby for saying loved where Danielle LaPorte said she doesn't necessarily love being mom, but loves being her son's mom.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right.
And
That's 2. We've got one more.
How about this one? Campaign of compliments. Wendy Weber. We're going to start the campaign of compliments. I think we ought to.
We will help you.
We'll start it right here this weekend.
Yay.
We'll help you, Danielle.
Campaign compliments is great when you're shopping, when you're in the bank, and when you're at the grocery store.
Heck yes.
It's just, and even or women, anybody can, you look great. And you never lie. We should do the tenets of the campaign of compliments.
Let's do it.
It's got to be genuine. Okay, so it's got to be genuine. You can never lie. I think, it's a bonus. You get bonus points if you can touch the person appropriately. Like just, touch their elbow, just a little like, hey, great. You can rush. You can do it. You look great. It can be the drive-by. Nice service. I love complimenting people for great service. I just had brunch, my girlfriend this morning, we had brunch, and she was awesome, and she needed to hear that. You have to be willing to back up your compliments with tips. It feels great to be a good tipper. I mean, do you ever feel bad for tipping well?
No.
I think sometimes I feel like I over-tipped because I felt obligated and I was in a hoity restaurant. Those never feel good. What else? Campaign of compliments. You can't expect anything in return. And I think, okay, this is important. If the person feels uncomfortable, you need to lighten it up. It's not, you can walk away. Just let them, if they're too shy, just let them be shy and just keep going. But you don't need to get anything for complimenting them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We like it.
We could do campaign complaints too. I'd like to do that.
That one might have more rules.
Okay, so my question came back to me, and a little bit of pregnancy baby brain. Sometimes things just fall out of my head. So something that has been coming up for me a lot is working out of inspiration instead of out of obligation. But how do you make sure that inspiration shows up? Because that's a challenge.
You have to go get inspired. And I think we forget this, like, especially creative types and solopreneurs think we should just be inspired all the time to write the next thing, make the next thing, lift it up. And that just it's not the case. So I think that's where you need your arsenal of inspiration. So if I'm like, I need a trigger. I need a cue. I need some inspiration. I have, I've talked a few times in posts about my love for Alexander McQueen.
Yeah.
So I have his coffee table book just outside my door here. And sometimes I'll just go look at a photo of, his designs. I go, oh, yeah. I have an inspiration playlist. I have many files, like physical folders of magazine tears. And here's the thing about having that archive of inspiration is you don't have to be going to the same, how should I put this, the same kind of source. So let's say you need inspiration for writing. You don't necessarily have to go get inspired by other written material.
Sure.
I get lots of ideas about what to write by looking at home decor magazines.
Awesome.
Or listening to music. Or, or some heavy metal, or even thematically, you could look at I could listen to some Metallica to get inspiration to write a piece on being centered. Because I think if I go look, this is why my experience, I'm actually having an aha as I say this. Let's say I'm writing something about money and I feel a little stuck and I go look for some quotes on money. Flat, boring, doesn't help me at all. Or I feel like I'm copying and I gotta come up with something totally new so I'm not playing off of someone else. I do. If I want to get inspiration about money, I'll go read a Rilke poem or some Rumi. Yeah. So you need to make it a habit. It needs to be it's like people saying, I want to be healthy. Well, then you need to exercise. I want to be inspired. Then you actually need to go looking for inspiration, which is why The Artist's Way as a book is so brilliant. Really, it's why the Firestarter Sessions is so brilliant because let's make this part of your practice.
Love it.
I love that. And both Lauren and I are yogis, so making things part of your practice is something that we tend to say a lot, but I think it's easy in your business. I mean, I my business is the yogipreneur. I work with yogis all the time who forget to get on their own mat. So part of our job here too is to help you guys integrate this, and part of your practice now needs to be getting the inspiration flowing and finding new sources for it and keeping things fresh. Awesome.
Well, and since we're in this world and your space of yoga, and then there's a time for shavasana, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to realize that as creatives, there's time to just lie there and let everything be integrated, and there's ebb and flow. There's ebb and flow. You can't be creating all the time.
Absolutely.
I think that is a perfect place to be complete.
Be complete.
Yeah. Danielle, this has been such a treat.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we're gonna wrap up and integrate with our audience and stay on the broadcast. You're welcome to stay on if you want. But
My kid's at the door.
yeah, with that, we'll let you go be a mom, and just again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been incredible.
Peace.
Peace.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Amazing conversation. This was definitely a huge highlight for us, you guys. As you can tell, we are pretty amazed that Danielle talked to us. At least I am. I'm still in,
I
a
wish,
little struck.
I wish we had actually said this first with her on, but so when we had this initial idea, there's the camera.
We keep forgetting we're on this camera.
Okay, so when we had the initial idea for this and we started just brainstorming people, pretty much Danielle was at the top of the list. And Rachel shot off a quick email, and it was really ballsy. And Danielle was actually the first person we asked. We didn't have a retreat. We didn't have a list of other speakers. Rachel was just like, so this is what we want to do, and do you want to speak? And
I also said I'll give away a lot of your books.
Yeah, and
and she loved it. So
yeah.
it's great. And I also want to share. This came up in a small group I'm in B school right now. I'm in Marie Forleo's B school, and I'm in a small mastermind group. And some people were asking how we got some of the speakers that are on here. They're like, how do you approach them? Or are you like a crazy stalker fan? And I'm like, well, I kind of am, but I always approach them just like, they're my peer. I'm just going to send it off. I know that they started at where I am now, or they were at where I am now, whatever. If I just make it real and genuine and show how much I appreciate them, generally, as you guys can see, the response is pretty good. So putting yourself out there definitely pays off. It totally does. We've got such an incredible speaker group, and today could not have been any better. It was amazing.
And I would say we had like a 90% yes rate, actually, on the speakers. And part of that is the wording of the email, no doubt. We have chosen, and you've probably been aware of this, we have chosen in our communications to steer clear of a lot of the hype stuff. Yeah. And you'll continue to see that. Like, we will call, like, for instance, when we were sending out affiliate requests, we're like, we want you to share our stuff with your list, and we will pay you money. Instead of this whole, like, here's what I'm creating, I'm so excited about it, and da-da-da, and here's what you get out of it, and, like, no. Ultimately, we're asking for your list. So what's the point of beating around the bush about it? They know what an affiliate is. So, and it's the same in our sales stuff. One of the reasons we vibe with Danielle is, like, you guys,
There's no BS.
There's no BS. You know that we're going to sell you something this weekend. Because we will. We're really excited about it, and we're doing it in service. But it also goes back to that sustainability piece about our business. We are running Life Shifted to be profitable so that we can offer shit tons of content.
Yeah.
And the only way we can offer shit tons of content at a high production value is to make money. And we are not shy about that. We don't feel guilty about that. We're excited about that. And we have, again, the intersection of reverence and revenue. We have reverence for that exchange. We have reverence for you're saying, I want that service or product and are saying thank you. Thank you for showing up and being part of that sustainability equation, because we can't do it without you. And it's also not necessarily to fund like lavish vacations and meals. Like,
No.
it's really to start a sustainable business that is a service that we've been really excited about and we think is missing in the marketplace. And yeah, we want to pay our mortgages and make sure our children have food to eat. That's important too, and that's part of sustainability, and we're happy to call that out. So I know that was kind of like a little digression for the end of our day, but I think it's really important to be just straight up, like, here's what we're about, and that to me is what's so refreshing about Danielle. Like, she's not going to censor.
Yeah.
She's not, and she certainly didn't.
So I think that what I would like to do now is, we're wrapping up now at 7 o'clock. I don't think anybody wants to take a whole ton of time, but we do want to start integrating and bringing things in. So, today we've had some incredible speakers. We talked about kind of our cornerstones around sustainability and what that means. So that means being profitable. That means being fun. That means being balanced. What were the other things? Transparent,
truthful.
Obviously. The transparent rant just happened.
Yeah. Simple,
and eco. So sustainable is really, really crucial. And it's kind of all of these things have woven through our discussions today, which have been really, really wonderful, from the beginning of our conversations around launching and what it takes to really get your idea, your product, your service into the world. Some of the hypey things around that aren't necessarily so true. If you guys did not listen in on those conversations, highly informative, from Anne Samalov, who runs Fearless Launching and is also the producer at Laura Roeder Studios. And then Sarah Shaw of Entrepreneur, who is just brilliant when it comes to launching your product line, fashion line, thing of that nature. And then we had a really incredible time, an amazing experience with Nick Pratley doing sacred breathwork, which to me just really set the tone, ramping up through the rest of the afternoon. It really did. And the sacred breath work, some of the stuff that came up for me and that was really getting centered, getting in, like listening to myself instead of letting myself get up in the head and be distracted about what else is going on. What about you?
Well, yeah, with breath work, it just reminded me that my body holds wisdom.
Yeah.
And that we have this tool, and I actually like the concept of being breathed. Like, our bodies are being breathed by the breath. And again, we love some yoga in this space, but there's a difference between, and Danielle talked about it too, about intention, setting intention between each transition of a day. It just really reminded me that I can be much more conscious about breath and use that as a tool that brings me into greater presence, and that opens up doors of wisdom that are there waiting to be perceived, but aren't necessarily right at the surface if I'm just breathing at the surface and operating at the surface. So, and then of course, speaking with Jeffrey around sort of the doorway in, I always love hearing from Jeffrey, obviously. He and I, we've worked together a lot on individual stuff. He's been an amazing mentor and coach. And
I just want to highlight some of his questions to ask yourself. I'm just like, what do I care about? Why? Who do I love? What do I love? What breaks my heart? That one totally gets me, and I'm going to have to sit on that for a little bit, because there's a lot of things that I would like to make better or help people heal around through my business. And that's a big piece of it, I think, because no matter what you do, you are healing people in some way. You're serving them, you're helping them overcome a problem or get some sort of need met. And that's a crucial question to me. What breaks my heart?
Yeah, and flying the flag of your values really, really concretely in your business. And, Sid talked, again, all of this stuff wove
it really did
together really beautifully. But, Sid talking about she talked about a lot of things, but that there's this process of being in the sweet spot, and then the visual, of course, she's a photographer, so then there's a visual that's communicated, but being that sweet spot and being able to articulate your values, it's just this beautiful progression, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, get in your body physically. Ask yourself the questions, you know, once you've gotten into your body physically. And then, once you're there, sit in that sweet spot and revel in it and work from it and get inspired from it. And then, you know, with Shanae, it's like, then communicate with the world and connect from it. And then Danielle's just like, whip it all up and go. You know, it's really amazing how all of that sort of pieced right in together.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it definitely goes to show that I think we're all building businesses from this new place. It's not from a place of the bottom line. It's not from a place of, you know, I don't want to say achieving, because we are achievers. Like, we'll own it. We want to be comfortable. We want to have nice lifestyles. We want to be able to vacation and things like that.
Sure.
But that's not like the reason we run our business. The reason we run our businesses are around service, around self-expression, around
because it's too painful, as Danielle said, to operate in any other way. Yeah. When people often ask me, you know, why do you do what you do? Like, there were times when the struggle was really tough. And I had a friend who was a nurse, you know, shift work, very regular. She knows she's going to be a nurse the rest of her life. She was like, why don't you just go get a job? And my friend, who's a dear friend, turns to this woman, the nurse, and says, you know, that's about you, don't you? Because it made her uncomfortable to watch me struggle. But for me, it was much more uncomfortable to dampen down the desire, the drive to express, to create, and be independent, than to be in the struggle. It would have hurt too much to go to a conventional routine of a way to make a living, mm-hmm. than to do what I did and struggle at it. And I think that, you know, what we're trying to teach is that you can have that creativity, you can have that self-expression, and you can make it sustainable.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. Oh my goodness, this was a big day.
Big day.
Big day. We got through it. Oh my gosh. Minor technical difficulties. So just so you guys know, I mean, I'm just going to share a little bit about what's coming up for me. And this is part of our we're being totally honest and transparent here. I mean, we have never done a virtual retreat. This is our first time, like, live streaming stuff. We really technologically didn't know 100% what we were getting ourselves into. We just knew that we wanted something different, and we wanted something where you guys could interact with us, and we wanted something that just felt, I don't know, like we could play with it, and not something that was like so well rehearsed or so contrived and questioned out. I mean, this whole thing, as you guys can tell, this is free flowing. This is about, we kind of set a theme for the weekend and are really listening to you guys and allowing you to co-create with us what this brand is going to be, what Life Shifted is going to be, the website. We have an idea. We're started on that idea by inviting these speakers. But this is just such an exciting process for me. This whole creative process is co-creation with every person here on this live streaming with us. Yeah. It's amazing.
And we do want to hear from you. Specifically, we have, you know, you can probably tell that Rachel and I, we're not big scripted people.
No.
We like to be spontaneous, and to that end, we want to hear from you what you want to hear about, because we have a couple little buffers built in where we can address some of your, you know, pressing questions that aren't necessarily answered by our speakers and their areas of excellence. So when you are hitting the stream and you know, leaving comments, let us know what you want to hear about, because we'd love to address that. And if we don't even address it here this weekend, we'll be able to address it in future speakers and interviews. And we want this to be here to serve you. And that's also our way of testing. That's our way of saying, what do you guys want? What do you need? What are you scared by? What do you get really excited about? And we're putting it out to you because we want to then turn around and give you what you need. So, and what you want.
Yeah.
So interact. Yay.
Yeah, interact
us.
with us. Send us questions through the evening. I think we're both ready to kind of get off camera for a little while, but send us an email, Rachel@lifeshifted.com, Lauren@lifeshifted.com. If you won a giveaway, make sure you emailed us at support@lifeshifted.com so that we can line you up for all of that. And we have more amazing giveaways. Tomorrow I'll be sending out the speaker schedule bright and early. We start again at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern tomorrow, quickly followed by Alexandra Frenzen, Derek Halpern, and Jennifer Arezzo. This is one of our beautiful giveaways coming up tomorrow. Live Well 360.
We'll show you all the cool compartments tomorrow. But
Lauren's very excited about being Vanna White this weekend.
We will. We'll unzip everything and show you
So
what
we've got all sorts of fun things planned for the rest of the weekend. So thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
What a pleasure.
What a pleasure. It's been honest.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern.